Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the first episode of Coffee and Jam, where we'll talk about games and their inner workings. Hopefully.
Really?
Will we? I don't know. Maybe just the workings. Just the workings.
I was gonna go very superficial analysis on exactly what I see in the 20 minutes I played it, and hope that that's the entertaining
The outer
value that we
workings.
can. Yeah, exactly the outer work, the face value, the cover, if you will.
Okay, yeah.
Which
I like
I'll
that.
place all of my judgment on.
Okay, perfect. Alright, so for our first inaugural episode, we will be looking at some Steam Next Fest games. We have a selection here, and we'll take a deeper look into 4 of them and like a lightning round of the last couple.
Before we start,
Yes.
have you done Next Fest before?
Yes,
Have you
I
played Next Fest
play
games?
Next Fest games every year. And I think they actually have 2.
Okay.
I think they have 2 Next Fest each year.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a spring one and there's a fall one.
Gotcha. This is the first Next Fest I've participated in and played any of the demo stuff. I'm not usually a demo guy. I don't usually play
Okay.
demos. I usually wait for full releases and then just like sink a million hours into them and then but you were like, we should do this while there's demos and a chance to try new things, so figured what the hell, why not?
Love trying new things.
It's surprisingly hard to find games. I wasn't prepared for the sheer volume of Next Fest demos that were available. I thought there'd be like a curated list from Steam that was like, here's 20 games and check them out. It was like, no, here's 7,000 games. And, some of them may have been around for like several months, but they are coming up soon in theory, and they have demos, so check them out. And the range of quality across those demos is like completely busted game jam to like a double A, almost triple A game that someone's been working on for like 6 years, or a team has been working on for a long time.
Yeah.
So really, it was like all over the place. But it was broken up by genre, so I stuck to my genres that I like. That's how I found my games. What did
Nothing wrong with that.
do?
So, I mean, funnily enough, it's like, I think I was just like perusing, and it showed me ones that I had already added to my wish list a while ago. So if it was in your wish list, it would show you an available demo. And that's how I found most of them. But then the rest of them, I just sort of scrolled through, and I was like, that looks cool.
Yeah, exactly. Because you get a lot of indie game like highlights from X or Blue Sky or whatever you follow.
Well, I use Mastodon, but yes, that's Mastodon, exactly, yeah.
Because I know that you followed creators from there for a long time. And it's cool that like this is an opportunity, at least for smaller creators, to get some of that exposure. I do wish there was more ways to like float good games up to the top and make those like more visible to people. I guess that's kind of what we're doing here for our massive audience of 20 to 40,000 people that watch this YouTube channel.
Exactly.
We're hoping that these recommendations really knock your socks off.
I hope so too. So let's look at the first one. This is Android pick. It is called Is the Seat Taken? And let me get the B-roll running here.
Mm-hmm. Played this earlier today. Like I mentioned previously, I was looking for games in the genres I enjoy. Something that I've really sunken time into over the past couple of years has been puzzle games. Whether it's Void Stranger to Isle of Fire and Sea. Fire and Sky? Sea and Sky? Hold on. Isle of Sea and Sky. Yeah, Isle of Sea and Sky, which was fantastic push block game. So I went to the puzzle genre, and I started going through there. And I don't know if the games or demos are ranked by like popularity or not, but this had like a lot of polish to it, so I wanted to check it out. So this game, as it's described on the tin, is a logic puzzle game where you play for groups of hilariously particular people. Each character has pet peeves that make seeding them a delightful challenge. Find the perfect spot for each person to unlock new levels in this cozy, silly, and relatable experience. So it kind of reminded me of like Clue or any of those logic puzzles that you would do, where it's like this person has to have some requirement of this other person, and then that person may have their own requirements, and the goal is, given the slots in the space, can you drag the people that makes everyone happy, right? It seems like you can like submit the puzzle with some people unhappy, but that's loser talk. I kept going until everyone was satisfied, which was much more enjoyable. I wonder how complex this kind of game can get, because the puzzles started very slow and easy, which I expected. But even at like the later part of the demo or the special bonus stage, it never got hard. I don't know if it can get hard. I'm trying to think of what a hard version of this would be. Which maybe goes to show that like designing puzzles for this kind of game actually might be challenging. But it was really cozy, right? Like it said, it was a cozy, I don't know about relatable, but it was definitely cozy experience that I enjoyed. And the best parts of the game were like the soundtrack. I don't know if we're gonna have the sound coming through.
Yeah, it's coming through. Game. Should be.
But like very mellow, very relaxing, and I also loved the tactile feel. You'll see in some of the clip where I keep clicking on everything because some things react, and I love when you can do that and have things like beep or bop, or if you click on the trash cans, it like shoots trash out for some reason.
Yeah.
But like dragging people around is like very easy, and there's like very satisfying like plip plops, when you drop them, so they all have like kind of a weight, and if you do it correctly, you get like a little star flourish. So it just has all this like tactile feedback that I really enjoy. Like whoever made this paid really close attention to the UX, which to me is like the sign of masterclass. Like if you actually know like how the player feels while they're playing the game, like that's the best, right? Like you're paying attention to like little zooms, little transitions, little tweens, right? Like you're really paying attention to like how good it feels, as well as like the gameplay and the puzzle itself. So my final thoughts on this game, though, is just more like I don't know how long this kind of game could be.
Yeah.
I ran through the demo in like 20 minutes, and I don't know if the game had like a million levels, how long I could actually like realistically play this. It also was very like phone gamey, right? I was thinking about this when I was writing down notes. Like it has that whole like, you did it, like get all the stars for that level. And I was like, what is the first mobile game that even really started doing that?
Doing the 3 stars? Yeah, probably.
Like, dun, 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 like,
probably.
You did it, or cut the rope, or like,
Oh yeah.
I remember all those, like, it's like such a trend now, right? Where it's like, or like a standard, I should say. Like, that games do that.
I guess my question would be like, to make it harder, because I'm not seeing like a time limit. Would a time limit make it hard?
I think a time limit would torpedo the cozy feel.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like you have all these people staring at you, right? Like, I think one thing that could be interesting is if you couldn't move them after you placed them.
Oh, okay, so almost like a Tetris situation.
Right, like if you wanted to reset, you'd have to reset all of them, right? And then you can reset as many times as you want, but whenever you reset, you have to reset all of them. Okay. And that, I think, would like make you have to think a little bit harder about placing each person without it being too stressful, because there's no real penalty. It's just like, oh, do I really want to place this guy here? Because the levels are never long enough where I'd feel too bad about having to place some people back. I don't know. Maybe that could just be frustrating, but I could see something like that working.
I know. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm like, what is a nightmare mode for this?
One of the cool things is, like, one of the things they introduced is in between levels or segments of the same stage, some of the people will disappear, but not all of them, right? So in the earlier levels, like, everyone gets reset, and then you have to place them for the next set of people. In later stages, like, say you place 10 people, and 5 of them are happy, like, 5 of them will go away for the next set of puzzle, and I really liked that consistency. So like some people are already seated with already preferences, so you have to kind of like remember what their preferences were from the previous set. So as you're placing new people, you don't violate that.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought that was cool. I think they could do more with that. Like maybe there's a character that like moves, right? Like maybe there's involved.
Yeah.
Like maybe characters like maybe there's a character that like walks left and right or something, and so his range of who he's sitting next to is different than literally just who he's sitting next to.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did. I think they did a great job with this, and I'm excited to see what they do with this game.
Yeah, I could see you like clicking on the bus sign or whatever, like, and it just like dingles around. Like, I get that. That's nice. But yeah, I love the visual design of it. Very easy to read, like very cute. Very big on this like sort of muted color scheme where it's just like one or two main colors and then it's kind of black and white otherwise.
Yeah, sepia tone, right?
Yeah. But yeah, really cool.
With the textured background.
It definitely seems cozy as heck, yeah.
I was just going to say there's also some narrative that's going through the game.
Oh, okay.
Which I wasn't expecting. Where there's this one character, a Rhombus, that will show up who has like a friend. Like in the scene I'm watching right now, you can see him, the character on the top right with the little earring. And he's friends with the guy next to him in the green hat. So the guy in the earring's like an actor, and his friend is a director, and he's like, he's trying to get into movies, and like they're just talking about like, oh, you should put me in a movie, and like for some reason that's a story across the entire game.
Okay, sure.
Back up. But I like the idea of recurring characters.
Yeah, me too.
That's fun. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. That was Is This Seat Taken? I definitely recommend it. Super short, 20-minute game.
Oh yeah.
I would say check it out. All right. Cool.
And then all right, so This Seat Taken, cool. And then so I played a game called Locomoto, which is a cozy life sim adventure game set on a train where you are the conductor, which is basically a game made for me. I love trains and I love pretending to...
Wait, what's the second one?
I don't know. I love trains.
One, yes, and I love pretending. Okay.
To be a conductor. So let's see here. Let's bring this one up. Hopefully you can see this.
I can. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So this one, let me skip a bit to this. So you basically create your little Animal Crossing guy. You have a lot to choose from. It seems like they're going to add even more later. But I had a good time making my little guy.
I'm always impressed by a character creator.
Yeah, I know.
It seems kind of ambitious, especially in a 3D game, right? Because then
sure
the model doesn't break somehow.
And I feel like I found a few things that do break.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this...
Go ahead. Or are you stuck to bear?
No, you can. I think there's pretty much every animal that you can find in the game. I think they create through this editor. So there's like cats, dogs. I kind of just stuck to bear because it was cute. Why not?
Yeah.
But so this game, it is like a life sim. You're like helping somebody run their railroad because they threw their back out. And you are to drive the train. You have to furnish the train, and you have to make sure that your passengers are like content during the ride. But all the passengers will also have missions for you. Each stop has resources, which I'll get to in a second, and has their own like packages that need to be mailed, but basically delivered by you. Which, let me skip ahead here. You can you basically start it out by you put together your train on this little train set, and like that's how you're deciding how you want the order of the train to be, because you have a cargo.
That's genius.
Yeah, you have a cargo, you have a passenger, and I guess later on you can get like a dining car, and I'm sure they'll add more for the real game.
I love that you're the character building a model train set to build the actual train.
Yeah, and
else.
the
That's
really cool part about this too, this tutorial aspect, is it's teaching you the main thing of this game, which is picking stuff up and how to put it down. Because there's a lot of that, not in a bad way, but like it's nice to sort of get a feel for it before they just toss you in. And so with this one, there you finally go ahead and you're like, you go to your first stop. You have to like put coal in the engine to get your train to run, and you have to be able to like build the seats, and you'll also build things like a coffee machine so people can have coffee during the trip. And this was the part about this game that I was not expecting, which was the amount of crafting there is. So as I move through here, you'll see that I eventually make my way to the first stop, and I start noticing that there's like wood stumps and just wood laying around, and I can axe the stumps to get stuff. And it has this really great organizational system of like, you can carry 4 of a thing, but then when you stack it in your train, it can stack really high. So it's not just limited to just the 4. And for some reason, I've played so many of these kind of games where it's like, when you pick stuff up and you drop them, they just sort of like drop wherever, or they explode. Yeah, exactly. And this one, you can tell the world is built on a grid, and that really helps because you can organize your stuff really easily. And the reason you're even grabbing all this stuff is you need seats, and you need tables, and you need lights, and you need stuff for your train. And you're actually collecting all these things so that you can craft them and build them. So you're really at your own whim at decorating this train. You can basically do whatever you want.
So kind of like that in the vein of Animal Crossing, where it doesn't necessarily have like upgrade effects or like upgrade impact on train performance. It's like, what vibe do you want for this train? I wonder if there is customers or whatever that will want the train to look or feel a certain way.
I bet you that is probably something they're going for, because it's like, as you can see, I'm like picking up iron and copper and gold and different types of wood, which I didn't really expect to find. You literally find like cherry and pine and birch, and like what wood you use makes your seats a different color because it's a different wood. So like they actually incorporated that as well. So I could see them being like, oh, the customer is even just more happy if all your seats match, or something like that. And here you can see this is my storage car, and this is me learning that I can just put them where I need and whatever's easiest, and learning also that you can just stack them higher and higher, because it doesn't really explain that aspect. But it's also nice to just like, and that's the other thing that I wanted to mention is all the crafting just feels surprisingly well thought out. Because as long as the thing that you need to craft with is in that storage cart, it works on your crafting table. You don't have to always be holding stuff, which is my biggest gripe with this kind of thing. Because like, I don't want to have to be holding exactly 2 wood and however many iron or whatever to like craft a thing. As long as it's in your train, you're able to use it. So it really like streamlines. And I really think this aspect of like, you can really just put whatever you want wherever you want in this train and kind of make it your own experience is really something. And it was just a lot of fun. Like, it's very chill. There's no like time limit. Every time you stop the train, you can do whatever you want in that area, and no one's like getting angry that we're not moving yet. So you kind of just have, each stop is basically like a moment where you can breathe and go through. Like, this one is just a park, and it has like areas where you can throw stuff out. There's another one that's like a market. There's one where you can get more blueprints for the furniture and whatnot. so it seems like each stop is also going to be kind of like a different vibe.
Right. How many stops are there in the demo?
In the demo, there was 5, and I think I played for like an hour and change. Here's like placing. As you can see, everything's just a grid, very simple. But even playing for like an hour, I only got to 4 of the stops, and that was like a round trip with all the people that I eventually picked up. But yeah, like, I think using the creator, I think you can create any type of animal. Like, I think everybody's using the same creator, character creator.
And so you go around picking people up at the different steps. And how on rails is the game for this demo? Or, like, I'm trying to figure out what's the... Is it like a very like structured sort of experience?
I thought it was gonna be, but where you go is completely dependent on what you want to do. Like everything is set up on a map, which you get to look at here. And although you can only see 4 stops here, eventually there is a line that goes straight up and one that goes right, and I chose to go right. So it's definitely not just a totally on rails like situation. You can kind of set it up how you want, and you do pick up people that want to go to different places. So like when you're backtracking, you can kind of do like I want to go here first, there second, there third on the map to sort of like mark out how to get around. And the other thing I was going to say is people don't the thing that I liked about the going to each area is it's not just resource collection. It's the way to get them on your train is to complete quests for them. So it's like there's more to do at each stop because there's more people. And they'll be like, I need this item or this item, and that item might be at a different station. So it's like you'll do a round trip and come back, you have that item now. And then they'll be like, okay, well, now I need to go home, so I'm ready to go, you know? So it also differs, like, how many people you're taking. And, I mean, by the end of the demo, I think I take, like, 6 or 7 people.
Why is there a suitcase on the train?
There's some graphical things. There's some graphical things. It's a demo. It's not going to be out until later this year. But it also, like, ran really great. I would say the only bummer visually is I wish the train I wish you just walked into it. I wish there wasn't the fade out. Because it's very obvious.
I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, it's very obvious that when you step in, you're seeing... Well, I guess it does actually kind of look like it might be a separate entity. Maybe this is a limitation of whatever engine they're using.
Yeah, because it looks like when you're outside of the train, the inside of the train just doesn't exist.
I
think that's the case. Because when you look back inside the train, like when you almost went inside it, you can't see through the windows in.
Yeah,
you can't see through the windows out. So it's very possible that they're trying to render like way more stuff in each world separately, just to like keep the memory space. Or the video memory space a little. See how you can't see through these windows? Like they're totally opaque. And then when you're in the train and looking out, I bet there's a lot less stuff. Like maybe there's less people, less.
Honestly, when it was just playing there, and I didn't notice this while I was playing, it almost kind of looked just like a cube map, and I wonder if it is something along those lines.
I thought so too, but I did see the old lady there.
Oh, okay.
So at least some people are.
Something is there. I just don't know. Oh yeah, you can't see the old lady.
Yeah, but you can't see any, like a lot of the other stuff, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Very interesting. I'm sure it's a graphical trick, but if it helps it run smoother, it's great, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't hit a single hitch while I was playing, which was really nice because this kind of game, like, you know, you just kind of want that. You don't want to have to be thinking about the graphics or whatever. The graphics.
I love the art style of this.
Me too. It's very relaxing. I also like that the animals are kind of like almost like human fall flat wobbly, but not totally. And honestly, you get used to the. I would say you get to a point where you're not going in and out as much because you're collecting what you need to, and it took me a while to figure out the like holding and pocket system. like obviously right here I'm holding a bunch of trash. Like I don't need to be holding that trash.
Yeah.
But this is one that I can see, like, I sat here and played this, and I didn't realize an hour went by. I could easily see sinking some hours into this, especially if, like, I think especially if they give you a pretty good size map. Because I imagine the actual sort of gameplay loop will be about the same all the way through. Maybe what you have to get the passengers might get more specific. Like right now, it's like if they want a snack while the train is actually moving, you can either give them a coffee or like I had a rhubarb pie machine. But I could see them being like, oh, this person specifically wants a coffee or this person specifically wants a pie. And then it's like, oh shit, I don't even have that machine. Right. I have to make it or whatever. Or like you said, I could see them being like, they'll only go on the nicest first class train. Right. So you have to have like higher class stuff in there. Because it could be interesting to get to a point where you like have a long train. Because here I have like, I do actually have a third car that I never use. It's just like a short passenger car. But I'll be curious what the sort of how long they let you make it eventually, or like if it's just a matter of like it's always about 4 or 5, but you upgrade the cars to be nicer. But if they do like give you a sizable map and they give you a lot of stuff to upgrade and a lot of different furniture and stuff. Yeah, see, like I don't even know what to do with the trash. This was before I realized that the garbage bag, you can put everything in there and you don't have to do this. But yeah, if I skip to the end here, you can see I have a bunch of people on the train, a bunch of furniture. Cool. And, oh yeah, the other thing is, so you have to manage the coal, and the coal is essentially how fast the train is going. So basically what you can do is if you just put a little bit of coal in and it makes the train go slower, you have more time to make the passengers happy. But like if you want to get to a spot fast, which is again, I could see them adding that, like, oh, I need to get there quick. You can put more coal in and it makes the train go faster. But then you only have like 60 seconds or so to like make everybody happy. But again, like the rewards are these little coins, and the coins you put in this gambling machine, and it gives you like more of a resource or a piece of furniture or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this demo. I think the second this comes out, I'll be playing it. So I was glad that this one popped up. I had seen this in Wholesome Games, the Wholesome Games Direct. I believe they had a trailer for this, and I think I immediately added it to my wish list and forgot about it, basically. And then when I saw it in there, I was like, oh shit, I gotta play this one. And yeah, so, I mean, it's like little things like this where, like, you can even, all the coal is in the very last train, but you can take a bunch of it and store it in the front. They take out a lot of the, like, things that would be really annoying and monotonous in this type of game and make them surprisingly easy, which I really appreciated. Like, even this, like, I'm making it so that this is the first, second, third stop. I didn't even know I could do that. I was just clicking around. And I was like, oh, that just makes it easy, because then I don't have to, like, mess around with the map every single time. Now I just have a set route.
I mean, it's a tricky balance with games like this, because you want to balance the sim part without it being tedious, right? So like you want the vibe of putting coal in the engine. You don't want it to feel bad. Right. You know, you're always, I think it's interesting with these kind of games, and I know that like we've played a lot of sim games in the past, and there's definitely been times where it's like doing something can feel really monotonous. But, totally. But also, like, there's other times where it feels good. Like, this is, you're making food, I guess, for every customer. So, I don't know if you have to make every single person a food.
It's not like a mandatory thing. And also, you can hold a bunch of them at a time. And you figure out, like, a nice thing of, like, you grab it, you have another one going, and then you just serve them. So, it's fairly simple in that regard. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I feel like all the systems that they have going are just like they're obviously simplified, but they're also like player forward. They're not there to get in your way, which I really appreciated, because like I just want the experience and have fun with it. I don't want it to be hard for no reason. I don't want the coal to be all the way at the back just because it's that way, so that you can have the passenger and the storage car first. They were thinking about that, right? But yeah, that's Locomoto. I really enjoyed that one.
Very cool.
Let's see, what our third game, excuse me, Isle of Reveries.
Yeah, I definitely am bad at names, or like when I saw them, because the names do nothing for me when I'm like looking for these games. So the other genre of game that I like outside of puzzle game is adventure game. Also, excuse the video. I was like, why? There was like something appearing on screen, and I was trying to get rid of it.
Oh, gotcha.
And so I managed it. So then, this is the game, very Game Boy Color inspired. When I say this game is heavily inspired by Link's Awakening, I feel like that undersells it. This game is Link's Awakening.
Okay.
If Link was a little owl creature.
Okay.
Like,
not a bad thing. I mean, not a bad thing.
No. That's actually what drew me to this game, is because I think Link's Awakening is just super cool, and I think there's so much more that can be done in that space. I think another game that people have been looking for is what's it called? Mina the Hollower. Yeah, Mina the Hollower was also very like Zelda inspired.
Okay.
That's being made by Yacht Club, the
Shovel
Knight guys.
Shovel Knight, yeah.
But Mina the Hollower has been like in development for like 2 or 3 years now, and people are still waiting for it to like officially come out. So anyways, this game, as the Steam store says, is make a pilgrimage skybound to the Isle of Reveries, where any wish can be granted, conquer mysterious dungeons, solve head-scratching puzzles, and fight dangerous enemies in this retro-inspired action-adventure. And, again, that description, way too many words. It should really just say, here's our take on Link's Awakening. And that's, because that's exactly what it is as soon as the game starts. And you'll see once we actually, like, there's this, like, weird narrative, and I was like, this intro means nothing to me. I don't know these characters, these people, what I'm looking at. Like,
I mean, they're really. I'm getting the Game Boy Color. Yeah.
So here, when it starts though, then I'm like, oh my god, like this is so Game Boy, right? It has the UI on screen on the right, like what the buttons do and like what you can equip to them, and it has like the life total on the left. And what I like about games like this is I like games that just drop you in and don't tell you a goddamn thing.
Oh, sure.
I actually really enjoy when games do that. As I've mentioned before, like liking hardcore puzzle games. So like I talked to this guy and it's like, here's a lantern. Like I didn't know I had to talk to him to get the lantern. I didn't even know how to talk to people. I just saw that when I walked up to him, like a button lit up. So I try pressing it. Now I have a lantern. He doesn't tell you like, oh, you can destroy that brambly looking thing in the top right. I just see it and I'm like,
okay.
You know, that kind of looks like a bramble. Maybe I can destroy it. Oh, I can. Great. Now I can play the game. Like, I like when games borrow on sort of like a language that's established by previous games, and then they don't have to spend any time describing it.
Sure.
The game's just like, interact with stuff, see what happens. So like here I'm like, oh, that's a blue crystal thing. I don't know what it means. Maybe I'll have to poke it later with a different item that I don't have, you know, like that looks like a fireplace. Oh, it's lit up, so
ooh, I love this music too.
Yeah, the music's really cool. And then I realized it was Link's Awakening and blocked myself out of this cave, where I was like, oh yeah, Link's Awakening, you can only push each thing once. I forgot about that. Luckily, it also kept the Link's Awakening thing where if you screen transition, it resets the puzzle.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I love the look of this, I think it's really smart to have the info on the sides for something like this instead of just making it 4x3 and still relying on all the information to be right inside that box.
Yep. And then this is where I got stuck for a really long time. This is where the downfalls of being like a little opaque, but I blame myself. I think all these games are solvable if you're good enough. So like
I can see that there's like a line that you can these rocks are following. Is that
right? That's part of it, but it's not like the whole thing. And so then I was like, oh, I can kill these weird bug things, and I was like, okay, this puzzle as I'm looking at it is impossible. This push puzzle literally can't be solved because like you can't push the blocks in such a way that this would ever be solved. Right.
Okay.
And so I'm like 99% sure of that. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, I didn't see anything else in the other room. And then as I started to go backwards, I realized the other puzzle, that the way I came in, it's set up so you can never leave. So you can't push your block your way out either. So I was like, okay, so the game is clearly telling me that I have to get through this puzzle somehow. But how do I do it? And so I was like, I don't see it. And then eventually, if you skip forward like 10 seconds, maybe.
Sure.
Let's see. Right here. So that little berry thing, I had no idea what that was. It
yeah.
looked like a little like blueberry to me. But I was like, oh wait, I never tried setting it on fire. So I did, and apparently they were bombs. I was like, oh, they're bomb fruits because of Zelda, of course. But like to me, that does not read bomb at all.
You know what? Like to me, it looked like a bug carapace, like the body of a dead bug. That's what it looked like to me.
I thought it looked like a big blueberry or like a rat, like a.
Yeah, I see the blueberry when you say it.
Then here was another thing where I was like, okay, I'm back again to a part that seems unsolvable.
Yeah.
I have a river, and I was like, if this was Zelda, okay, so bomb plants exist. So if this was Zelda, can I jump? Is jumping? And then I found like, the button, and I was like, jumping, of course. So I just started pressing buttons until I could jump, and then I was like,
that's so funny.
Perfect. So I again, like I said, like. I was reading some of the reviews and people got hard stuck at this part.
Sure.
Because they don't tell you this thing's a bomb. They don't tell you that you can jump, right? Like, you know, I kind of liked it though. It was refreshing to play a game with like absolutely no hints at all. And so I was just like, I love it. Perfect. Great. And then then I got my sword and then the game like really started. And so for this demo, what I wanted to do is actually get to the end of the first dungeon. Which I got pretty far, but I still didn't get to the end because the dungeon was actually quite challenging. What I liked about the puzzles in that first dungeon is they're actually like one step harder than like the Link's Awakening puzzles from the first few dungeons. Yeah. But if you've played Link's Awakening, that game's puzzles are like those game's dungeons are actually like pretty hard by Zelda standards.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like Link to the Past dungeons are not challenging at all. But Link's Awakening,
I always had a hard time. I mean, I won't even front. I used to have a hard time with Link's Awakening.
There's like this one dungeon with the pillars that's like near the end of the game, and you have to break all the pillars to like, I forget why, to make a floor fall down or something. And I just remember that dungeon being like taking a really long time and going like back and forth a lot. But yeah, this game's like super sick. It's definitely people that cared a lot about Link's Awakening and were like, we just want to make our own Link's Awakening. That's all we're doing here.
I mean, they really killed it with the visuals too.
Yeah, right? And then I think I get, in a little bit on this, I also get an item that's like a camera that lets you take pictures of enemies. And so after you get to do that, you get this little bestiary, and each camera image looks like the old like Game Boy camera, like the like, really bad quality photo of those enemies. It's
That's
really
so funny. Where is that? Is that towards the end?
No, so a little. Oh yeah, right there. So like, I might visit the image here because I just took a picture. Do I? Or will I fight another enemy first?
Maybe I like that idea, though. That's cool.
Yeah,
okay,
here we go. So then I took the picture of the enemy, and then you go to this little, like, bestiary. Like, you can see how they look just like the...
Yeah. That's great.
Game Boy photos.
That is really funny.
Awesome. But, like, here's an example of a puzzle where it's like, oh, okay, the guys are changing color, they're on colored things, like, immediately figure it out. I love it. Like, I love when things just, like, make sense.
Yeah.
Very easy to read, you know, like, I don't know, I think they did a good job. Like another puzzle right away. It's like, oh, it's a step puzzle. It's lights out. Okay, these are classic. I'll just do it really quickly, right? Like, I like rapid fire, easy puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
but there's a couple trickier puzzles later on where you have to like push these blocks, and the block has to end face up in the correct way.
Like it's like rolling kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think if I go right, I'll have an example of that. And I was like, oh, I should save the little bird friend. And then here, yeah. So
okay.
This one was actually like somewhat of a tricky puzzle. It wasn't too tricky, as you know, but it's like, okay, I need to get that block on this thing, and so if you push
when it's blue, I assume.
Yes.
And then you fucked it up.
And I was like, all right. Screw this puzzle. Moving on.
That's cool though. I like the idea of the rolling box in 2D is well done.
Yeah, like
very readable.
And the die, it's cool because there's like yellow, red, and blue, so you can see as I'm pushing it, like it is, you know. And then I realized if I push it again,
it's gonna be
never line up.
Yeah,
it'll be
now it's gonna be yellow. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so I tried pushing it anyway just to like, confirm that is what it was. Yeah. And so then I had to do it again. And so then it was like, okay, well, clearly I just need to push it up and down and then like cycle it because that's the only spaces it gives you. Like you can't push it from the bottom, right? Because there's a hole there. So this is me thinking every time I pause. I'm like, but yeah, I really liked this puzzle. This is Dungeon 1. And this is like the first puzzle, like this is like the third puzzle in the game that I'm encountering, right? And like, I actually have to think a little bit, you know. And I was like, yeah, totally, pretty good for Zelda. I like how.
Yeah. Honestly, I could see really getting into this.
Yeah, and I was like, this thing needs to go.
Oh, and so while it's gone for a second, you can, and then you'll go all the way around, and then it's blue. I see.
Yeah. That puzzle.
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
I don't know what the puzzle fairy is, but
just shows up.
The music in this dungeon's cool too. I don't know what sound chip they're using. It's way more.
It's very crunchy.
The Game Boy Advanced one.
Yeah.
And it actually reminds me of the music from Void Stranger, which I really love.
Yeah.
But there's like this like really like deep, like you said, crunchy, like bassy noise in this song that I'm like, oh, it feels great every time it plays.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's this game.
I could just keep watching it. Honestly, it's very. I could definitely see playing that one.
Isn't it? It's cool though, right? Like it's very Link's Awakening. Like I said on this one, I think its demo was from November or something.
Okay.
And the official release is supposed to be this year, but I don't know if they've announced it yet.
Gotcha.
So who knows if it will ever actually exist. They have a Kickstarter campaign currently, which is, I guess, why maybe they have the demo part of Next Fest.
Oh,
they need $25,000. They got $9,000. Maybe I'll throw them some money.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I mean,
I thought this game was super cool.
It looks great, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I'll just say, like, Isle of Reveries, I don't know what I was expecting, because that's such a, like, Tales of Amalur
name. Nothing. Well, that's the intro, too. I'm watching the story, and they're like, Ma used to tell us about the pilgrimage up the great mountain. I'm like, cool. What is this game? I still wish it was just like, this is Link's Awakening, but you're an owl. And I would be like, oh.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Instead of an island, you're on a mountain.
Oh, okay.
Instead of a windfish, it's a goddess. I don't know. Like,
there's lots of parallels there, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So next up is one of mine. It's called Drop Duchy. This is an interesting one. There's like a lot. There's a lot going on here. Well, they say build your duchy piece by piece in this refreshing hybrid roguelite game. Use block dropping mechanics, Tetris, to collect resources, recruit troops, and fight against belligerent armies, and let every block shape your terrain, leading your path to victory. So it's essentially, it's three things. It's a Tetris style game where you're land building. Let me get the visuals up here. That's important. Drop Duchy, which I accidentally named Down Duchy. We'll throw this up here. Okay. So I really enjoyed this. It's like it took me like a few runs to kind of like get the hang of it, but it is essentially Tetris to build your land, giving you customization of how your armies are sort of built up, because some of the each piece that isn't a terrain piece is affected by a piece either being plains or forest. You have buildings that are just utilitarian, like this is a woodcutter, and he gives you wood. And the other one that fell was a military piece, and that one was affected by there being plains around it. So that's kind of the gist. You're dropping these pieces. Some are utilitarian and some are military. And then the rest are environmental. And then at the same time, it's a deck builder, because what I'm choosing from right now is from my deck, which is I build at the very start, and you don't in the demo. It sort of like gradually gives you these pieces, but you can choose what to bring with you. So if you're going along the map in the first area, it'll be like this one is 75% forest and 25% fields, or the opposite. And if you have more pieces that are geared towards forest, you'll want to go that way. And you're able to choose directions sometimes, because you always kind of want to give yourself, obviously, the benefit. And then the last thing this is like is a turn-based strategy, because when you are actually battling the opposing army, you go through the game where everything's falling and you're sort of setting things up, but you're also setting up their pieces. So you can sort of deny their expansion by putting their pieces that are benefited by forests next to fields. Which kind of gives it this interesting, like, how do you sort of make it as horrible as possible for the enemy? And then at the end, once you've filled out with all your pieces, you then choose from your archers, swordsmen, and I guess just heavy. They just have an axe. And you sort of like make a game plan of how they'll attack the other army. So it's like if you have 15 heavies and you have them combine with 12 swordsmen, it becomes the culmination of that as heavies, or whatever the higher amount is. And then you kind of like gear them, you sort of build them up and throw them at the army. So there's a lot going on per match here. Because the Tetris also isn't very Tetris-y. It's like, obviously the pieces are there, but it's not falling at a rate where like you're stressing about it going in the right spot. You have pretty much as much time as you need to think about where you're going to place these things. I think it actually starts falling on its own after like a minute. So you have a good amount of time. And when you do bring it down and it sets itself on top of another one, there's actually a little timer before it actually sets in place. So you can be like, oh, I actually don't want it there, and move it over or rotate it or whatever.
Right. Like classic.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Where you have that like split second. This is just giving you like 15 seconds.
Oh, wow. It gives you a lot of time.
It gives you a long... I mean, maybe it's not 15 seconds, but it's enough time where you're like, oh, actually, okay.
Yeah.
And
this is super cool. I'm so impressed by how simple the idea is.
Yeah,
and then, like,
and I could see
how far
it.
They took it.
I could see them very easily expanding to like, then you're in a desert area and it's like you have desert pieces and very few water pieces, or a mountainous area where like the mountain pieces don't do anything for anybody and they actually just block, you know. And I can see where they're going with this, right? And
do you,
sorry, go ahead.
If you go over the top, do you lose, or how? What?
No. So that's the thing, is the reason to try to fit them in as best you can is because once you hit the top, you don't lose, but it stops you from being able to add more.
Okay.
So like they'll keep coming if you fit them in nice. So it's better to fit them in as well as possible, because you'll be able to have more resources gained. Every line that you complete gives you resources of each of those field or wood type, and that's how you buy, like here, spend to unlock. Yeah, I mean, I just like really got sucked into this. Like, it's such a like, I mean, of me recording, this is probably the like 4th or 5th time I went through the campaign. And basically the way to win and or lose is you're making your way towards a boss, essentially. And as you're going through, each time you're able to like diverge and choose. You can choose either gaining more resources but the boss gets harder, or fight one of his armies and the boss gets weaker. So you can kind of like divvy up how you want to move forward. So it's like, oh, if you're not happy with some of your cards, you could go through the resource route and build up all your resources and not have to do combat, and then be able to buy cards or trade cards or whatever. Or if you're like, oh, I'm happy with what I have right now and I want to take some chips off of the boss, I'll start fighting the army now. And then the way that you win and or lose is you have my camera's reversed. But up here is the 50-50, and that's your overall health. And when you're actually fighting, which I'm actually doing now, I'm fighting the opposing army.
Right.
At the end of the turn, however well you did, like let's say I lost a bunch of troops, it'll tick off of my health. And so if you whittle down your health all the way, then it's game over. So it's like, even if I technically lose to the army this time, let's say I only lose by like 3 or 4, I haven't lost. I still continue to keep going. And then the boss itself is interesting too. Let me see if I can find that quickly. Okay, so this time I fucked up, so that's not a good indication. You can see the wall is there so early. Okay, so the boss is essentially a wall.
Yeah.
And the wall is kind of keeping you cramped and being really strategic with how you drop things. But each time, I think it's every 2 turns, it moves up. And so you're essentially trying to cram as much in as you possibly can without hitting the wall. Because if you hit the wall, then the wall stops. And then you have to play out the battle with what you've placed. And usually that goes poorly. Because you obviously don't have like enough resources. I mean, here, like, let's say I only have 16 dudes and they already have like 40 almost. And this
see the walls getting lower in number. What does that mean every time it moves? It went from 80, 60...
Oh, I actually didn't notice that, but I assume the longer you're able to stay alive and not have the wall kill you, it probably lessens what its impact is in the final battle. Because it acts as part of the army, if you will.
Yeah.
Wow, great filmmaking.
I was always like, is this coming up as like an ad to like?
No, I must
have playing the game. It constantly reminds you to wish list.
I must have paused it. But yeah, so I mean, again, very polished. Except for, I should mention, because I mentioned this to you. It definitely has, like, I think a memory leak or something, because I did have one time I was playing through and it ate all of my video memory and I had to restart my computer because I couldn't open any windows. It was crazy. But I also, I mean, I must have played this demo, I'll be honest, like, I played it 4 or 5 times just because, like, it's a really addicting sort of gameplay loop. Because it's always different what you're kind of encountering. And that only happened to me once, and it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, I mean, I had a great time with it. I like the look of it. Like, they already have, like, great sound effects and stuff. I feel like it was like, if this was out and I was playing it, it felt done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, this seems so cool, and like I said earlier, I'm so impressed by how much they were able to do without it feeling overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's how I felt too.
Synergies between the buildings, and like even just like really cool simple stuff of like, you lay woods and you lay the woodcutter and now they're fields and they're next to a farm and now they turn to farms. Like, even that's cool. But then on top of that, it's all like, oh, because they're farms, they give more soldiers to the watchtower, and the watchtower, you know, is making rangers, and rangers are actually strong against swords people, and the enemy has swords people. So you want more rangers. Like, I think that whole thread of logic is so cool. That they were able to like get that without it, again, like being none of it felt unnecessary, right? I think that's what's cool about it. Oh, and then it just ends when you beat the boss. Oh, and it said 3 factions. Interesting. So even like different decks and stuff. That would be cool.
Maybe I think
you can see this river tiles and this yeah, that's so cool.
So I think on this next screen, the Republic
and
the Order.
The Order. I was gonna say Thorder.
So and I mean, the other cool thing that you don't really expect is there's actually a skill tree in there too, and there's and all the skills are unlocked by completing challenges. Like there's a lot going on, but it's not overwhelming at all. It's honestly very addicting, and I think this is another one where when it comes out, I could see like definitely getting it on my Steam Deck, and just like I could see it being a great, just like every play for 10-15 minutes every day kind of thing.
No, super cool game. I really like the idea of it a lot. And like the sort of chess piecey sort of like battle block sort of models.
And the way you said it, where it's sort of like each system is kind of complementing itself where you're laying the woods and stuff, like I could see them really going far with that too, where it's like you start just like getting these crazy combos too. But I'll be you're right, like I didn't even notice the like river pieces, because I'm sure they'll have all kinds of different buildings and too, because I only encountered maybe 4 or 5 different military pieces and the same amount of utilitarian pieces. So I'm curious like where they'll go with that too, because I feel like there's even like one of the pieces I have towards the end, which again, it's like for the demo you don't really need it, but I was sort of trying it out, is the tax house. And anything that's within its vertical and horizontal gets taxed, even, and gives you gold, even if it's your own piece, if it's a building. So like during one of my final battles there, I just kept putting the enemy's pieces in front of it, and it would just give me a bunch of gold, which I'm sure would be useful later on, but not in the demo. But I just like that there's so much, like, it is cool that it's like as the pieces sort of flip over and change, things just sort of cascade, and it's really rewarding when you do it, like you said, wood to field to you know, to wheat to whatever, and like it is very satisfying.
Yeah, and I love the visual presentation of it all. It's really easy.
Yeah, they did a great job. They did a great job. All right, so now we're gonna do some lightning round.
I was gonna say that was the good games.
I
played. And then, although these games aren't bad, it's just I thought the first 2 I played were cooler, and so that's why.
Yeah, I'm gonna say too. The other 2 that I did were very fun. They just weren't as I don't know. I wanted to showcase the other 2 more
because they were way more addictive. And
more
time to it than you realized.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much my criteria.
So this game, this came up when I was looking up. So the genres, I like puzzle, I like adventure, I like puzzle adventure, which is what Reveries, and then I also like puzzle strategy, and that's what led me to Nine Kings, which is actually very similar to Drop Duchy in the idea that like it's you place things and you fight armies, right? Like in that genre of place things and fight armies, this game is very similar to Drop Duchy. Where this game differs is I think it's more of a traditional like tower defense. Like it feels more like a tower defense than Drop Duchy does, right? Like I wouldn't describe Drop Duchy as a tower defense, especially when not every fight, every map has a fight, right? So
right. Yeah, I would not call it that. Yeah.
So the description here is a fast-paced kingdom builder roguelike. Grow your empire with hundreds of unique cards, fight massive battles against the Nine Kings, break the game with thousands of insane builds, and become the King of Kings. I was amused that they didn't have the sound effect triggered correctly.
Oh yeah.
So when you pick the game, there is multiple kings you can play as, but there's only some in the demo and only some in the full game. And so, like it says, there's 9 kings, and then each king gives you a different starting deck, much like the kingdoms from the other one. So you can see the starting deck is these 9 cards. And I was reading them all. I was like, cool, whatever. So if you like skip ahead a bit, I can just talk briefly through like what's happening on the screen. Okay, so the game is broken up into turns. Like, so you can see on the top. The very top, there's a year 1.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so every year it'll pass, and then you can see like it moved along that track, right? And so eventually there's like 10 years, and on the 10th year you fight a boss, and then it ends, right? So after every battle, you can pick a card from the opponent you faced. So at the beginning of the game, like you're facing against your opponent king, which will be the same king as you, and 2 other random kings. And then based on what army you defeated, you get a card from that army type. So like I got to pick a card from my own deck because I faced like someone who's playing as me. Now in this battle, my opponent's the yellow guys. So if I beat them, I get to pick a yellow card instead as my reward. And so every year you get to place one thing on this grid, right? And each thing you place does different stuff. Some have synergies, some have like some are like towers. Like you can see I'm lobbing a rock from my castle. There's a charge bar, and so like every time that fills up, I get to click and lob this big boulder at my enemies.
Does it hurt your people too?
It does not.
Okay.
So here you can see like I get different cards, right? So thief, overinvest, mercenary, whatever. But these are all yellow cards, right? And they're all money focused, right? So each king has a different like theme sort of with its deck. But the main broad things of categories that you can place are units, towers, or upgrade, or like synergy things, right? So like I said, very tower defense-y, right? So like I'm now placing this unit, you know, and I'm looking like, oh, I can sell cards, I guess, if I want money, but I don't know what money is for yet.
Yeah.
So I place these mercenaries, and so now I have a mercenary tile and these heavy soldier tiles, right? And so now I have like a bigger army. And so every year, the opponent gets a bigger army as well. And the idea is just like, my army needs to kill their army, right?
Okay.
And then every synergy card and stuff you place will do different things. Like this blacksmith, every turn adds plus 2% attack damage to adjacent units and towers, right? So if I place that next to my mercenaries, every turn they're going to get stronger. Then you get like these perks, like these royal decrees periodically. I did like 2 random plots and they put them in a weird spot, like not next to anything. And yeah, the number over the card that's like on the tiles, that shows how much damage that tile did in the previous fight, which is pretty cool. So like if you're doing tower defense stuff, you want to know like what tower is doing the most damage.
Yeah.
So anyways, if you skip ahead to like towards the end, let's say, like near the end, just so you can see like,
whoa.
So now the armies get pretty big by the end, and it kind of has that South Park vibe where they like just sort of like at each other, where they're not like fully animated. But you can see those mercenaries I got early in the game, they're doing like 2200 damage now, right? And like I've gotten all these other synergies, and there's just like a lot of these cool cards that just do stuff. And so like I really felt like I was like decision making, like where's the weakness in my army? How do I make it better? This thing shows up every now and then so that you can like expand your.
Oh, okay. I thought it was bad. It seems very ominous.
Yeah. Each individual tile has like 3 levels, so you get cards that will level them up. So like,
oh, cool.
I can play this wild card to level up that tile to level 3 from level 2, and it does more damage. So if you skip to like the very, very end, or like a minute from the end. Let's see. Okay, so here's the boss fight. So this is the final boss fight. So once you hit the final year, this is like the big bad enemy. This is the king of nature, where the king himself came out and is fighting me, right? Unfortunately for him, he was no match for my mercenaries. So you can see, like, I absolutely.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then your kingdom has thrived, yay! And so you win. That's it. So like that's a roguelike. You run through, you build all these little towers, and you can like get synergies by placing things next to them. Really, it was really fun. I would definitely play it again. I think Drop Duchy looks way more interesting to me, but it was okay. I think this game seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, I know, like you said, like South Park, they're just jumping around, but I like the style. I like it. I like that they go for it.
Right. But it was a pretty cool game, and I'm really curious what the 9 different decks could be, right? Like,
oh, I know. It seems like there's
actually
a lot,
9 decks. Like that would be a lot of things to think about, right? So,
yeah.
So that was 9 Kings.
9 Kings. Okay, cool. And then next up, we got one that I played called A Bumpy Ride.
Okay. More trains.
Another train game. I actually played several train games, but I limited myself to 2 for this. Sorry, let me bring it up here. Okay, so this is kind of a. I mean, how do I even describe this one? Because it's fairly simplistic. It's almost like a Crazy Taxi, but trains. Essentially, you're discovering this map. Like when you open up the map, which I don't do for a bit, so whatever. You are discovering the track layout, and you're discovering all it shows you is where the stations are. So of course, I'm actually going to skip ahead here because I seem to have chosen the route that took the longest to get anywhere. And so you essentially have to resource your water, and as you pick people up, they'll be like, oh, I need to go to this station. But when you don't have the map, as you can see here, the map doesn't show you the route until you've driven on it. And you get extra points from your... It's a very similar system to Crazy Taxi, where if you start getting late, they get mad, but they also get mad if you take corners too fast and if you don't blow your whistle when you're supposed to. So it's kind of you're essentially managing your speed and the happiness of your passengers. Now I think here, especially, I'm having to go backwards and stuff a bunch. I think if I had just gone straight at the very beginning, I would have avoided a lot of the issues I ran into. Because what I ran into is not having enough time to do anything, and I think it's because it took me almost a whole day to get to the first station. But if I had just gone straight at that very first intersection, I would have come to this place first. But it's essentially...
It looks very randomly generated, is it? The paths?
Oh, I don't know. I only played this once. It might be. I actually have no idea. I'll have to check on that. It kind of felt, I will say it didn't feel generated at all. It felt, everything felt like it was put in place for a reason. But I like it. It was kind of just very chill. Not the most engaging game I've ever played, but it's you kind of just are taking corners a little slow. Even here, people are mad that I took the corner bad, but then I blew my whistle where I was supposed to, so they're happy again. So it's kind of I could see talk about a phone game, even how big some of these icons are and stuff. I wouldn't doubt that they'd put this on a phone.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can press space to blow your horn or like physically pull down on the lever that's there.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I think I ran into a need for time that probably doesn't normally exist, but like before I started like getting crazy with the time, it's a relaxing game. It was fun. Definitely like a pick up and play for a little bit kind of thing. I don't really know how, aside from just having more maps, that you sort of make this harder. But also, where this is at the moment, you can kind of tell that it's gameplay light, if you will. Because it's literally just like, wait till you get to the first station, and then the first station gives you where you should go next. But I almost feel like it should start you at a station so it gives you a destination. Because I was playing this for 10 minutes just going nowhere, you know? Right. And then what I don't get to in my footage is you get freight cars, and you can also pick up freight and deliver that as well to each place. So you can sort of create your own difficulty, if you will. And the upgrade tree is that of you can like upgrade your cars to first class so people pay more money, or of course adding a freight car. And I think you can also there was a third one, but I don't remember what it was, unfortunately. But I like the style. It's got this kind of like chunky.
Yeah, it's got a filter over everything.
Yeah,
it's like un-aliasing.
Yes,
right? Like
yeah.
or it's extra aliasing.
It's almost. It reminded me of Spirit Tracks. Like that's kind of what it reminds me of. It doesn't look exactly like that, but it reminds me of like a 3DS style graphics.
Right, something that didn't quite have anti-aliasing.
Yeah.
It's still like pretty fuzzy looking.
But as like a time management train fan, like it kind of hits that spot, if you will. Like it's fun, but it's not like I'll be interested to see how they fledge it out, because it'll be interesting to see if they add a bunch to it, or if they put this out and it's $5, you know, for what you get, kind of thing. But I don't remember what it said. I think I hit the end of the demo.
I see.
And I can't remember when it's coming out. But I will say also, like, it ran really well. I didn't have any hitching or anything. So they're obviously at the stage where they're probably just adding in. Maybe I could see them doing a story too. You know, like maybe to help guide you along a little bit. Thanks for playing. Oh, it doesn't say when. But
average score 8.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, for like a quick like sit down kind of game, I really enjoyed it. Oh no, I screwed up. I got rid of the window.
You pressed the wrong button.
I pressed the wrong button. I should have known. Now I have to
do it live.
Do it live. Sorry, everybody. Okay, we're back. We're good. All right. So next we have an Andrew game.
Seedgod.
I hate the name. I just want to put it out there. Hate the name.
I was drawn to it solely because of the name.
That's upsetting.
I was like, I need to know about Seedgod. No, actually, I went to the store page and there was cards and plants, and then it looked like placing the plants gave you money. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. I like card games where you just place things and make synergies.
I also just like the visuals, just right off the bat. Like, it looks like something I want to play.
Right, exactly. Right? Super cool. All right, this story is more disappointing than in this. It says in the Seedgod demo, your mission will be to strategically plant in a bug-filled lagoon. Choose the best positions, and you can discover unique plants, capture bugs, find tools, and access levels that will challenge your survival and planning tactics.
Oh.
So again, also when I don't know if you can hear that. I click the question mark and it just laughs at me. It goes, and I'm like, wait, what? You'll hear it again. I'll click the character and then I'll click the question mark.
Yeah, I'll turn it up.
It'll tell me. So like I just didn't understand why the question mark existed.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you need help?
Like, good luck.
So I have this character, and he's got vitality, intelligence, charisma, luck, money. And I was like, cool, the game didn't tell me what any of that means. Maybe, I hope those stats aren't important, because I already forgot them. Then Leonard shows up, and he's like, hello, I'm Leonard, the tutorial. Like, let me tell you about the game. And then he proceeds to not tell me about the game. He just says, it's a demo. Like, and here's a pack.
Also, why he's looking like Book of Mormon? Like,
yeah. He's like, here's a pack of cards, and I'm the tutorial. I was like, cool. I guess this game is just about opening cards on a screen that says trade. Why does he have money? I don't know. Is that important to the mechanic? Okay, I got a plant, another plant. Ren, Storian. When I plant them, you get $1. Some say sun, some say water, some say night. I'm not sure what any of that means. And he's like, you got some good cards. Bye. And I'm like, wait, tutorial. So this is where the game goes off the rails for me, because like it gets so confusing so fast. So I'm like, all right, cool. Here's my deck. Great. I guess I just place my deck, or I just place a card on a plant, right?
Somewhere.
Sure. And so I place it, and
what?
It's like, wait, what? There's floating numbers. There's a bug. It said win. Did I? What happens? Was that correct? And he's like, you don't have enough money. Well, I don't know. Did I do it wrong? And then it's like, start planting. So this is when I actually figured out what was happening, because the first part was so confusing. So again, now I got 1. Now it says 2-1, and then I went, oh my god, it's Minesweeper.
Oh. I was almost gonna say, is this 3s somehow?
No, it was this plant that I placed that I went, oh my god, this is Minesweeper, because that's a mine. And it says like, wait, what? Why? Oh, this is Minesweeper. I understand. So that must be the final mine. So does that mean I just keep placing plants that isn't that mine and I get money? But then the game ended again, and I don't know why. I don't know why that last tile went away. And then he comes back and he goes, you see, it's like Minesweeper. And I'm like, two maps in to see that to me. I'm like, tutorial, man, come on. I was really confused. You could have just said that 2 maps ago. By the way, this game, you're not actually placing plants to get money and strategy. That's bullshit. This is Minesweeper. And I would have been like, oh. I never find out what these colors mean. Okay. I never found out what the time of days or the wet meant. I don't know if it's implemented or ever comes up. The tutorial guy never tells me. Then I've discovered a very strange bug in the game where if you don't have a card selected and you click on a tile, it just disappears. So if you like skip ahead to the next section, I think, like, yeah, about here. This is when I discover if I just like click on a tile, it just like goes, like that tile will just go away. And so then I like, or is it this one? Or maybe it's the next one. Yeah, I think, but I find it really frustrating because unlike normal Minesweeper, if you're playing Minesweeper in a 4x4 grid, the odds of accidentally clicking on a mine is so high.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get enough information. Like, here, yeah, so you can see I just clicked. You just click the tiles away, and then you And I was like, wait a minute, this can't possibly be correct. This can't possibly be the way I'm supposed to play this. And then he goes, hey, the bugs are annoying. And then I was like, cool. And then I got here, and I got more cards. But I think instead of opening it, I accidentally hit next or something somewhere. Maybe that's the next one. But I accidentally, like, skipped something and just, like, went to the next thing. And he's like, soon I'll stop giving advice. And I'm like, you haven't told me anything about this game. So then on this one, I was like, do I even need to place cards? Can I just, like, click? Like, like, what is the clicking? I don't understand the clicking.
Is the clicking supposed to be like, you know how you can nullify in Minesweeper or mark where you think it is or whatever?
No, because you can't click where the mines are. So like it's very confusing.
Yeah.
And then like I think I did this, and then is this when? No, then I got my plants. And I was like, cool, another plant. And then so if you skip to the very end, I think I just like
This is the very end.
Yeah. So then he's like, yeah, he says soon I'll stop giving advice again. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'll play for real. All right. So
okay.
I didn't really like Seedgod.
I
think I would say maybe pass on Seedgod. It was very confusing and buggy.
They have some systems in there that I can like see.
Right. Like I like the idea of having cards and placing plants next to each other for synergies, but like I don't think any of that's been realized yet.
Yeah.
So I'd say pass on Seedgod for now.
Yeah.
That was Seedgod.
That was Seedgod. All right, final game, y'all. Mm-hmm. This one is called Demon Tides. This is one that I've been following for a bit. It is a sequel to Demon something? Oh no.
Oh no. Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Look away. The original one is called Demon's Turf. And that is a game in which it's a 3D platformer, an expressive 3D platformer, but your character is 2D running around a 3D world. Now they're realizing it as a fully 3D experience. And it's great. I'm not going to leave on a terrible game here. Or not, I shouldn't say a terrible game, but I won't lead off on an
underbaked.
Yeah, underbaked. Yeah. This is obviously like pretty close to done. The only thing that I'll say that it probably needs is like optimization. I was running into, especially later on when it lets you out into the first area of the open world, I was getting a lot of slowdown. But I like all the characters, like they're fun, like all the text is funny, which is great. I like the design of all the characters, but the big thing is the character feel, the movement. They really go for the expressive, as they call it, platforming, where it's sort of old school Mario, like jumping is 1, 2, 3, higher, 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 and you have like a mid-air boost, and you have something where you spin so you can jump longer. So you can kind of like feed all these different move sets into one leaping through the air motion, basically. And here, I'm just going to skip ahead because this is a very much tutorial, like learn how to move forward and move your camera. But you also turn into this bat, and that's what helps you double jump, and to get around even faster you can turn into a snake, and you can boost as that snake, which you can see here. This is still the tutorial area where it's just kind of teaching you how to like get around, but the movement is very Mario-esque, where everything, like your character has momentum, and you can sort of use the same move, but when it's in tandem with something else, it amplifies it. And I really just had this is one that I've been looking forward to, because I think the gameplay itself almost seems like, I actually never played it, but the Mario that they added onto the 3D Mario bundle, Bowser's Fury.
Bowser's Fury, yeah.
And I never played it, but to my understanding, it's like kind of a more open world Mario. Right. And you sort of like are finding these different areas, and each area is basically like regular Mario. That's what this is doing. So you eventually get released into this ocean, and in the ocean you can see off in the distance things shooting out from the ocean, and those are your platforming areas. Which I'll shoot through here. So this is like out in the world. Lots of like jumping around. Lots of you just follow your shadow so you know where you're landing.
The technology, it's there.
The technology, I know, it's crazy. Of course, I fast forwarded to where I try to use... Oh, and this is one of my favorite things, actually, that I just did. You can put a checkpoint wherever you want, and you can return to it whenever you want. So if you're about to make a jump or go somewhere where you don't know what it leads to, you just throw a checkpoint down. And then let's say you fucking fall off the building, and you're like, well, do I have to climb all the way back up? No, you do not. You just transport back to your checkpoint.
That's cool.
You, in a very Demon Souls kind of thing, you can put graffiti places, and it uploads to a server so other people can see your graffiti.
Yeah.
Rail grinding. You can even see here, probably in my footage, even though it's small, like it got to a point where it was really jittery, and I wonder if there might have been a little bit of memory leak on this as well.
Yeah. Probably distance rendering. Like, you can see that you're rendering things really far away.
Yes, yeah.
And I probably can optimize that a bit.
For sure. I don't know when this one comes out. I think it's still a ways away. But what's here is fun. Like, it is just like very classic platforming fun. You get to a point where you're just sort of throwing all these different moves together. Like that spinning one gets you extra far, and the boost is fun, and I just I played this one for probably it says I played it for 50 minutes or so. Another one where that time sort of just disappeared.
Yeah, I love that it does feel very Mario Odyssey inspired, which is cool. Especially with the that part where you throw your hat and can jump off it. It kind of reminds me of that with the long jump and the hover there that you can do.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to see it all come together like that.
Yeah, definitely.
It does look like... I wonder if it's not as necessarily as tight as Mario. Like, it still looks a little like to me, just looking at this, like the jumps don't come together as much. Maybe does this game have ledge grabbing? Maybe that's the difference.
Oh, actually, no. I don't know if it does.
Yeah,
no, I don't think it does.
That's what it is. Yeah, because I think Mario is very forgiving with its ledge grabbing.
Yeah, I will get for sure.
And I'm wondering if that's all something like this needs.
Yeah, I could see that because it does have like a wall grab, so you can wall run. You can wall run vertically and horizontally to reach up to spots. But what I found is I would run up and then I'd have to like jump back and then use the swirl to like move forward again.
The snake feels like insane because it's like too fast. Maybe because I'm watching on this really low version of the video, but like
it's fast.
And you're like somewhere else instantly. It looks like out of control.
It's fun, yeah. You actually don't control it with the left analog. You control it with the camera because it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
But this one I could see like being a really great collect-a-thon, expressive platformer. I think like it took me a bit to get a grip on how each thing led to the next, or how each move sort of led to the next one. Like, you can use the boost midair, but then if you hit the boost again, you ground pound, and you can't get out of the ground pound. So if you're all the way up and you like do a boost and then you hit it again, you plummet instantly.
It's like a wall run up. I see. So maybe it's not too bad. Oh, but like, see, like that sequence seemed weird to me, right? Where you're just like sort of bouncing off things.
Yeah, I think I figure out that it's you have to hold the jump button to run. I don't if it mentions that earlier, I think I missed it.
Yeah. No, it seems super cool. Like, I think games with sort of complicated platforming stuff built in is good.
Yeah, me too.
And then it comes down to like level design and stuff for the strength of the game.
Because it reminds me of like one of the complaints I've heard about, say, Astrobot, which I personally loved, is I would not call that an expressive platformer because you have a jump, a double jump, and a hover, and if you jump and then jump again, it's still the same jump. And like adding the hover even still just feels like it's its own thing. Whereas this is like, it does have that classic Mario, you jump, and then if you jump again immediately, you jump a little higher, and then there's that third highest jump. And like you can see the frame rate here, especially as I come up on this new area.
As you're transitioning between these zones. That's really interesting. How I didn't realize that it was all just one continuous mega.
Yeah. I wasn't entirely sure that's how it was going to work either, but
yeah,
it's definitely an impressive project, and I think if they just hammer out some of the technical things, I think this could be really great. Because I think I'm even running this on medium, so I should be more than good in that regard. Oh, and these crystals here, they reset your moves.
Everyone loves to steal Celeste. Like, Celeste really had something there. With the crystals refreshing the dash. It's really funny that I've seen that a lot. I don't know who really did that before Celeste. I feel like it's very much their mechanic.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as I played more and you sort of like get a feel for it, it's one of those. You'll get the feel for it. And I think playing through more and more, you could really use the momentum to your benefit.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah. So that's Demon Tides.
And you said it's a sequel, technically.
And it's a sequel, yeah. Same characters, but now it's all 3D.
Yeah, nice.
So those are our select few, very few, from the Next Fest.
In the thousands.
Because there are so many. Neither of us are 100% sure how Next Fest works, as in, do the demos disappear on March 3rd? I think as long as you add them to your library, they stay there even after the March 3rd point.
Yeah.
Because it'd be impossible to play everything that's out there.
Right.
So hopefully we were able to give a look at some of the more interesting ones that we found, at least. And definitely go out and check out your own.
Let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Let us know what your favorite game today that we talked about was.
Yeah,
that's why we're wrong or right.
Oh,
we'd love to hear.
We'd love to hear it. But thanks so much for joining us for our inaugural episode, and we'll see you in the next one. I think with this one we sort of looked at demos, but I think it'd be fun to take an in-depth look at game mechanics and maybe some triple or double A games as well, and
or co-op, or who knows?
Or co-op, yeah. I would love to do some co-op. That'd be very fun. And thanks for joining us.
Till next time.
Till next time. Uh-oh. Hold up.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Vamp! Quick, vamp!